Hi everyone and welcome to the 5th episode of the Sack Race Weekly. I'm Jack Kitson and I'm joined by Simon from Empty Seats, and as always we've got 3 topics for you today. We're going to look at the reaction to Richie Wellens leaving Swindon and their new search for a new manager, Klopp versus Pep, the titanic managerial duel this weekend, and also we're going to venture into the Mansfield and Tranmere manager markets where it's a case of 2 Nigels. Let's go. Simon, welcome. We're going to crack on with Swindon, who we've spoken about before. Richie Wellens was the hot favourite to leave. We didn't think it would happen originally. Then it looked increasingly likely. And then suddenly it didn't look too likely as Warren Joyce came back into the mix, and then Paul Scholes as well, the caretaker. But now he's gone. What is your initial reaction to him leaving?
A little bit of surprise. We did speak about it last week, about how it's kind of his area, his hometown. He's played for the club, so it does make sense on a lot of levels. He's probably getting a pay rise. I don't think he'd have left Swindon for any other League 2 club, so it makes a lot of sense on a lot of levels. I think Salford will be delighted to finally get their man over the line. I think he really is the man who can take them up the leagues, take them to the very next level. So a good move all round, apart from Swindon obviously losing their iconic manager who's got them promoted. So a tricky one for Swindon, but brilliant for Salford and brilliant for Wellens himself, I think.
In terms of who replaces Richie Wellens at Swindon, we're just going to run through the odds now. We've got Noel Hunt, the former player, who has been the assistant since Wellens took over in November 2018. He's the caretaker at the moment, and he's the 6-4 favourite. He's got no experience of outright management, but I imagine he'll be given a few games to at least showcase his credentials. Do you think he could be a permanent option for the club?
I think in these times, definitely, when clubs are trying to save a bit of money, we are seeing more assistants, promoted into the first team jobs. We saw it at Burton, for example, and I think it is an option for Swindon if they want to save some cash. I'm not sure they'll take up that option this time around, but as this pandemic goes on, I think we'll see a lot more clubs actually start to do that.
On the flip side, we've got Paul Tisdale, who has buckets of experience, knowledge and expertise. He lives in Bath, which is not too far away from Swindon, about an hour's commute, I think. He's been out of a job since leaving MK Dons about a year ago. Could he finally return?
If I had to pick any manager to get this job, I think it would be Paul Tisdale. I really like him. I like the job he did at Exeter. I love your UK geography knowledge there, Jack, as well, from Bath to Swindon, about an hour. So yeah, I really like Tisdale. His managerial work, I think, over the past decade or whatever with Exeter, he did exceptionally well. Got them promoted from League 2. He's a really good option here. And then you look at what he did with MK Dons as well. I mean, he was sacked after losing 8 of 9, I think, which was obviously a sad end to his time there. But you've got to remember, he did get them promoted, from League 2. So he's another great option. And he actually had a higher win percentage at MK Dons than he did at Exeter over his long spell there. So I really like Paul Tisdale and I want to see him back in management. I think this could be a really good job for him.
So at the time of filming, we've got Noel Hunt as a 6-4 favourite. We've got Steve Cotterill, 6-1. Paul Tisdale, we just mentioned, 8-1. Got the former Salford manager. That would be a bit of a flip. Graham Alexander at 12-1. Danny Cowley, who we mentioned in the past for other jobs, 12-1. And Paul Heckingbottom, who of course thrived in League 1 the last time he was there as caretaker with Barnsley. He's around the 12-1 mark. And if you want a little outsider, Ian Culverhouse, the former Swindon player, is doing great things with Kings Lynn. And he has plenty of experience as assistant to Paul Lambert at Aston Villa and Norwich. He's hovering around the 16-1 mark. And our man, Sol Campbell, 20-1.
Could he get this one? I want to know a bit about, what about not Sol Campbell, but Paolo Di Canio, Jack?
Oh, that is stunning, 25-1. That would be a sensational return. I mean, we haven't seen him since Sunderland, have we? But he did so well at Swindon before. I mean, it really shake things up, but I don't know if I see that one happening, do you?
No, I don't think they'll go back there after his... it was turbulent, wasn't it? But it was entertaining time at Swindon.
Okay, right, on to section 2. And we have the Messi v Ronaldo of managerial duels this weekend as Jurgen, Klopp and Pep Guardiola continue their engrossing rivalry. Straight off the bat, Simon, who is the better manager?
Over the last 2 years, you've got to say Klopp. Premier League title winner, Champions League winner. I think the development he's done with that Liverpool team, when you see some of the players he started with to where they are now, is exceptional. And he's the current champion. He's the one to be shot at. So you've got to say at this current moment of time, Klopp's the better manager.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, Pep's amazing. He plays exquisite football. He's very intense, extremely successful, and he's serial winner as well. But Klopp at the moment is just incredible, isn't he? He's got the charisma. He's personable, approachable, and just the way he improves players, as Pep does as well, of course. But at the moment, Klopp this star is so bright. And out of interest, Simon, just going to push it here. Head-to-head record. They've played 19 games. Who do you think's got the better of the rivalry so far?
Surely it's Pep. I'll say Pep.
Klopp. 9 wins to Guardiola's 8, and there's only been 2 draws. 2 draws in 19 meetings. But
I would say Pep probably over his career so far is the more esteemed manager. You can't forget what he did at Barcelona, what he did at Bayern Munich. I know Klopp did an amazing job at Dortmund and elsewhere, but I think in terms of their career so far, I'd put Pep slightly ahead, but over the last couple of years, Klopp. So there's me sitting on the fence.
Pep also has 29 or 30 trophies if you include Barcelona B, whereas Klopp has 10. But you imagine that number will increase again this season. Does Klopp have any weaknesses at the moment?
Great teeth, great hair, lovely smile. Oh, I don't think so.
You talk about me?
He's looking really good, isn't he? I think in terms of Liverpool at the moment, you've got to say their centre-back area is the weak area. Van Dijk's out. He's got to find a solution to that problem. So I think he does have weaknesses in that area. Obviously, his defence heavily relies on Van Dijk, and he's kind of bailed him out a few times there. So I'm not sure, Joe Gomez and whichever youngster he's partnered with are going to be able to keep out Aguero and co. If Aguero plays, he doesn't usually play these days, does he? Injured, probably.
Now, Simon, I've seen you play five-a-side football, and it's not a pretty sight. Limbs everywhere. In terms of you personally, which manager could help you improve the most? There's a lot of improvement needed as well.
Yeah, there really is, isn't there? Which manager could help me improve most? I think maybe I think Pep would like me, I don't think I work hard enough for Klopp. I'm probably a bit lazy. I think Pep, you have to work hard, but his team's usually got more of the ball. But I think the true answer is I'd probably suit being a fullback in a Tony Pulis side, because then I wouldn't have to run much and I could just lump it up to Ricardo Fuller. So
you pick Tony Pulis over Pep and Klopp?
Out of context, yes.
And finally, let's say a scenario, let's say Slaven Bilic leaves West Brom and either Pop, I'll start that. That's a great mixture of them both. Pop. Could that hashtag this weekend? Right, if in a scenario they're both in the running for the West Brom job, West Brom struggling in the Premier League, which one of them is more likely to save them from relegation?
I think they both would, first of all. It's tough, isn't it? I think I'd have to say Guardiola, I think Klopp's improvement, if you're talking about one season improvement, I think Klopp's improvement perhaps came over a slightly longer time at Liverpool. We had to wait 3 or 4 years for his Liverpool side to really improve and break into that top 4 and then challenge for the title. I think Pep's improvement might be a little quicker. I'm not sure how Charlie Austin and Hal Robson-Kanu would get on managed by Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, but it's a great scenario. I think they'd both keep them up.
And finally, where's the title going this season?
Spurs.
Right, on to section 3. We're looking at 2 vacancies here. Mansfield and Tranmere. We're going to start with Mansfield. And Nigel Adkins, good old Nige, is the hot favourite to return to Tranmere, who he played for as a goalkeeper at the start of his career. Birkenhead, where he was born. The ultra Mr. Positive. Before we get into his chance of going there, what did you make of his videos during lockdown 1?
Good morning. It's Monday morning. Start of a new week. Start of a new routine. Start of new habits, new behaviours. We've all got to adapt. We've all got to change in light of the new government's information and the situation that we all face in. But everyone's got their own routines to go and do. But the important thing is we stick together. We listen to the advice that we're getting given at this moment in time, which is important. And we look out for each other. So have a good day, enjoy your day, I'm with you. Cheers.
Sensational. Everything you want from an out-of-work football manager. He's charismatic, he's wonderful. He just seems like a lovely guy, doesn't he?
He does. And I've got to add, actually, during his time, I found out this week, actually, at Tranmere, when he was a teenager, he took charge of Renbad Rovers, a local Birkenhead Sunday League team, and he won 5 promotions there as their manager.
What? How? Wow.
I know. I had to read it about 3 times, but incredible. But, okay, let's go on to Tranmere, the senior team. If he does go there, I mean, surely it's a perfect fit. I mean, it'd be a real coup for them, you think?
Well, it seems like he fits kind of the Wellens mould, doesn't he? Moving back to his hometown club. Obviously, most of his family are probably around there. But I think in terms of what Nigel Adkins can bring to Tranmere, Jack, you're a Southampton fan. You probably know better than me. What would he do to Tranmere? How would he get them promoted and try and get them to bounce straight back to League One?
As we touched on, it's just that ultra positivity. He's got a beaming smile. It turned any negative into a positive. He's got buckets of enthusiasm and self-belief. And he's just so good at improving players and working with young players and developing them and just getting the fans on your side. It can be a little over the top at times, especially when there's a losing run. I think they found that out at Sheffield United before Chris Wilder came in charge. But when it works, it's brilliant. And he's absolutely loved at Southampton and Scunthorpe as well. But we've also got, so he's the 4-6 favourite. We've got Graham Alexander, Danny Cowley and Sol Campbell, who we've mentioned in the Swindon market. They're all in the mix, as is Paul Cook. But at the moment, this one looks very much like it's Nigel Adkins. But now on to another Nigel. We've got Nigel Clough, who's ready and available for work. He's the red-hot favourite for the Mansfield job. He left Burton in May. One of the reasons he left was to save jobs at the club. He's an absolute club legend there. But how heartwarming is that? You rarely hear about stuff like that. But he's free and available. Could you see a manager who definitely has Championship credentials, he's managed there, or League One as well? Could you see Clough moving down into League Two?
I really think he could, I mean, Mansfield have splashed the cash on players recently trying to get into League One. Perhaps it's time they did the same on managers. I think he'll be keen to get back into work with this pandemic and, job security, get a good contract there. I think Mansfield could tempt him, they should be fighting at the top end of League Two instead of the bottom that they have been over the past couple of seasons. I think he might fancy this project a little bit. Obviously, what he did at Burton was absolutely sensational. You mentioned he left them in a much better position than he found them. He left them to save jobs. He just seems like a really great guy. He's got Championship experience, the likes of Sheffield United and Derby as well. He's just seems like a really great guy, a really great manager. And if Mansfield can tempt him there in League Two, I don't think they'd be able to do it at any other time. They need to take advantage of this pandemic perhaps and take advantage of the fact he's out of work, which is a rarity in itself, and really try and get hold of him if they can. If they can, it'll be absolutely exceptional for Mansfield. I expect them to start climbing the League Two table.
One thing he does offer is stability, which is what Mansfield need, don't they? I mean, only 2 of their managers since 2004 have managed over 100 games, and Nigel Clough has never managed less than 100 games at the club. Coughlin and John Dempster were only at the helm for a combined 55 games. So he will bring the stability, he's got the experience, and I agree with you, Simon. I think it'd be a perfect fit. It's just whether they can lure him down, so we have to wait and see on that one.
I think if Mansfield give him the job and leave him there for 3 years or so, I'd certainly expect that they'd be in League One after those 3 years. So give him 100 games minimum and see where Mansfield are at, because they certainly need to stop sacking managers.
Speaking of sacking managers, we're just going to briefly look at the next Premier League manager to leave, or the first Premier League manager to leave, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, I swear we touch on him every week. He is now the odds-on favourite after back-to-back defeats. Do you think a defeat to Everton this weekend, and that's the end?
Nah, it'll linger on for a bit longer. I mean, it's like the US election, isn't it? Being topical, it swings and throws from one side to the other. One week he's the best manager in the world after he's beaten Leipzig 5-0. The next week he's absolutely terrible after losing to Istanbul. With Man United there isn't any consistency. So sacking him I don't think is the answer right now. I think he will be sacked at some point this season, if I'm brutally honest. But I think they'll wait a few more months And, well, it's league they really need to focus on. You're right. If they stay in the bottom half of the table, the board might run out of patience. But I think they've shown support in the transfer market. They've shown supporting him in terms of getting the players in, spending big money yet again. And I doubt they'd sack him so early on. I don't think he's a David Moyes that they'd get rid of so soon. I think he's more of a Louis van Gaal, perhaps.
There you go. Right, guys, if you like the video, please do like and subscribe. Also, check out the sackrace.com for all your news and content. And you can find Empty Seats on YouTube and Twitter as well. Simon, thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.